Right, welcome Kakapo team. So this is the second part of our speech writing video series, and this one is on your body paragraph. So last time we were looking at the introduction, which is a slightly different structure because there's a different purpose. This one is our body paragraphs, which will be between 1 and 3, depending on their length for our speech. Now, important to remember that when you're actually recording your speech, it should have an introduction, body paragraphs, and a conclusion as well. And then a conclusion paragraph will be the next video that we do. And all of those parts together should be recorded at about 3 minutes when you speak it out loud. So depending on how far you flesh out your body paragraphs will probably determine how many you use. If you have a very large paragraph that has a lot of detail, you may only have 2 paragraphs for your speech. If they're slightly smaller and you're covering more topics, then 3 paragraphs might be for you, and that 3 minutes might work out. So, similar to the last video we made where we color-coded the different sections of the introduction, I've done the same for this one. So there's only 3 parts to a body paragraph rather than 4. And those are simply a statement, an example, and an explanation, and I'll explain that now. Before we begin though, just the instructions for your task, which is to follow the video and then write between 1 and 3 paragraphs, to color code the sections of the paragraphs with the 3 sections shown. Checking your words per sentence is something I'll talk about a little bit later, and repeat the process for the paragraphs you write. So you'll see a document very similar to the one that I'm looking at right now, only that'll have my paragraph underneath it. And I'm going to do the same thing as last time and step by step show you how I would write an introduction. No, sorry, not an introduction, a body paragraph. So my speech topic is still that kids should get paid for good grades. However, my body paragraph 1 is just going to be about one aspect of that topic. Because obviously there are a few different factors that go into that idea of why students should get paid. The first thing I'm going to talk about is that student grades are low. So my first statement, or my yellow part, is sometimes also called a topic sentence. And a topic sentence introduces your body paragraph, and it basically tells the audience exactly what you're going to be talking about in that paragraph. So I'll show you mine right now. Very short. As I began to research student test results in New Zealand schools, I was shocked by how bad they were. So that's simply going to tell the audience that we're going to be talking about how bad student test results are in New Zealand. When we talked about this as a class, we actually decided that a power sentence was the best sentence type to introduce a paragraph, or to use as a statement or topic sentence. And as you'll see, my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. My sentence is not a power sentence because it is not 12 words or less. So it could be punchier. If I had reduced my word count in my first sentence, it might have had a bit more impact on the audience. Something for you to think about. I'll take you to my next section. This is my example. Almost 1 in 5 students that go through high school either fail their Year 12 exams or drop out of school before sitting them. The same study showed that these students didn't pass their Year 12. These students who didn't pass Year 12 were more likely to end up without a job. That's a fact or a statistic. And an example should be something that you can prove or something that's concrete. So it really should be a fact. If not a fact, then a very, very strongly obvious point to make, but better if you have evidence to support your argument. And once you've done that, you need to explain the reason why that is important, or you need to explain the significance of that fact, which I go on to in my blue section. Using these findings, I did the math and worked out that 10% of Kiwi 16-year-olds end up with no job after failing their exams in Year 12. How are our young adults going to support themselves and their families without an income? By allowing our students to fail in school, we are setting them up to fail in later life. So you can see that I'm linking to my green statement, which was about the test results, but I'm actually talking about the impact of those test results and why that's quite a scary thing for New Zealand. And that's really important for you to do because you need to make sure that your audience care about what you're talking about. So it's really important that you link that fact or that statistic or that piece of research to a meaningful reason why they should care about it. Because in the end, that's what's going to persuade them to agree with your argument in the first place. Okay, so that's my first paragraph. I need another one. So I've got body paragraph 2 waiting to go. Now, what topics could I write about for my second part? Well, I've talked about low grades, but my speech is about why students should get paid for good grades. So I need to talk about money is good for motivating people. Because I'm saying that people will do better at their schoolwork and get better grades if they are paid for their grades. So I need to talk about why money is important in that. And I'll repeat the process. I'll go through and I'll do a yellow sentence to start off my statement. I will then put some research and facts into it in my green. And finally, in my blue section, I will support those facts and make them relevant to the audience and make them important and show why those things are really important for us as Kiwis. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you about is a word count, or rather words per sentence. It's something that I put in the top here. Check your words per sentence. Often students will write sentences that are either too short or too long. Now, if you write the majority of your sentences too short, what tends to happen is that your writing starts to sound quite choppy and quite stop-start, almost like a robot. But rather, if you try and make your sentences too long, or your sentences just end up being too long anyway, you kind of lose control of your sentences and they run on, and it's not effective for the audience either. And there's research that suggests that for your age group between years 4 and 6, the ideal number of words in a sentence is between 16 and 20. That way you'll have good control, but it won't sound choppy. It's really important that your reading doesn't sound choppy when you do a speech, obviously, for obvious reasons. It's going to need to be pleasing for the audience. So what you need to do when you've written your speech is two things. Firstly, you need to count your sentences. So I'm going to do that right now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 sentences. What you can do is you can highlight that whole paragraph and go into Tools, click Word Count, and you'll be able to see how many words you have in that section. So I have 128. The next thing I need to do is divide 128 by 6, and I'll find out how many words per sentence I'm using. I'm going to do that on my phone right now. So 128 divided by 6. Okay, so that's 21.3. A little bit higher than your 16 to 20. So what I need to do now is read my speech out loud to either a parent, or in my case, someone who I live with, and get them to give me feedback on whether they think my sentences sound a bit too long, and whether if I shortened a few of them, I'd have more fluency in my speech. And if yours are a bit long or a bit short, then maybe you should read them out loud too and get that feedback. Now, I've got an example right underneath. This was done by Shannon. And this is exactly what yours is going to look like when you've finished. So you're going to be seeing a document just like mine that has the instructions at the top and my example just there. And then on the next page is where you write your own one. You can see that Shannon's written a really good topic sentence because it's a power sentence. Staying inside isn't very good for you because you aren't exercising. Short, snappy, and to the point. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 words. Shorter than 12, definitely a power sentence, and it sounds effective. That's all I have for you guys. I will see you in the next video on writing a conclusion.